Just another old school talk. What we got here is a R100 10A versus an RX2 12A. I got everything set up on my micrometer, caliper, depth gauge, some seals, my scale. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Here I got a 10A. I'll go ahead and scale it. And it's weighing at 8 pounds, 11 ounces. We're gonna go ahead and jump to 12A. 12A is weighing in at 9 pounds, 8 ounces, but it's got the bearing missing, so I'm gonna put the bearing on top. Alright, it's weighing at 10 pounds. And I put this on top because I pressed it out because I'm going to be working on the 12A twin distributor. So next we're going to look at some of the markings that are stamped on these rotors. For example, this one has a production stamp on there. It's picking it up, but it starts with the 2, so that indicates that it's a early 10A rotor. And this is the 12A. Also has a production stamp on there. And this one starts with the 4, so that one's most likely 73, 873. So some of the other markings that you'll find on these rotors are the weight codes. So this one's a C. So this was a C code, and if you guys remember when we scaled it, it was weighing at what was it, 8 pounds, 8 pounds 11 ounces. And on this one, you could find the code over here on the face right here. So this one's that was a B code. I'm trying to get it to focus, but yeah, this one's a B code. So this one was weighing at 10 pounds, 1 ounce, I believe. 10 pounds, 1 ounce. And some of the other markings we could find on these are also the side seal markings. So right here, there's a 2. So it's just like your typical rotors. They have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that pretty much kind of helps you where to place your side seals if you're going to reuse them, and your corner seals if you're planning on reusing them. And what's neat about these 2 rotors is that they also have a front and a rear stamp on them, and it's real tiny, but they do have them. This one has it. Where did I see it? Oh, it's got it right here. So this one, it's a front, so you kind of barely tell. And the rear one obviously will have an R stamped on it, so you can't get it wrong. So this one's the front, so this one would go this way, since the gear sight's right here. And one way we could tell it's a front is because of the tub. This tub's sitting down here. It can't sit up here, so it's got to be down here. So I mean, that's one way I could tell. But so they're also stamped in the front right here. The RX2 12A also has a front and rear stamp on it as well. You can find it here. Where is it at? Okay, there it goes. See, so now this one's a rear. You kind of pretty make it out right there. But yeah, this is the rear. So this one, the tub's got to sit on the bottom right. So the gear sight's here, that means that it's the rear, and the tub is down here. So that's one way to know by the tub is facing up or down, but they're also stamped. I'm gonna go ahead and check the width, just so you guys can have an idea of what the difference are between them. So the 10A is 2.35. Yeah, 2.35. That's the width on the 10A. So now we're gonna go ahead and check out the 12A. Just wait for the click. And there it is. .12A sitting at 2.74. So that's the difference between the 10A and the 12A twin dizzy. It's about 3/8 of a difference in width. So just wanted to recap on that, just so you guys can know. So here we have the bearings, and if you go ahead and measure the inner diameter, they're all pretty much universal. They're all pretty much like around 2.9 of an inch. So I already went ahead and measured it before I hit the record button, but that's what they're measuring. They're measuring this much right here, 2.9. And I don't want to go ahead and measure this one again on the 10A because I kind of scratched it when I was measuring it. But it measured at 2.9. Also have another bearing here. This is from like an FC, and that's what's measuring, 2.9. So this one's the one that came out of the RX2 12A, and that's what it's measuring. And if you measure the width, there's obviously a difference between the 12A right here. It's measuring at 1.7, and if we measure the 10A over here, it's going to obviously be a lot less. There we go. And now it's measuring out 1.3. So it's obviously thinner. It's a lot thinner than the 12A. And so you guys can have an idea on the difference between the 12A and the 10A. I'm gonna go ahead and scribe it. So you guys can see the difference. So here, put it this way. So here you're looking at, this is what the 10A thickness is, and obviously this was a 12A. So that's how much of a difference you're looking at. Now if we measure the outer circumference, there is a slight difference between the 10A and the 12A. You're looking at 3.15 for the 12A. Now if we measure the 10A, it's about a 1/16 of an inch smaller. So we'll go ahead and scribe it here, and I'm gonna show you where. I don't know if you can see where I scribed it, but it's about a 1/16 of an inch smaller. You can kind of see it right here. So if you were to press in one of these stator bearings, it would definitely not fit in there. You would have to go ahead and get it narrowed down right here. Not only that, but get it machined on the outer circumference. So you will have to get it machined. The slip right here is too thick. That's why it would be very hard to press it in. So you would definitely have to get this machined in order to get it fitted on a 10A. So another interesting thing too, you gotta drill some holes, re-tap, and screw it back on. So these older rotary engines, when it comes to the bearings, there's something special. You can't just press them in and that's it. You gotta press them in, and it just takes a little more work just to get them to fit in there. Especially when it comes to the 10A. So 10A could be very challenging when it comes to the bearings, just because first of all, they don't sell these anymore, and you would have to just get a machine down now. Maybe later on I could show you guys on how to machine one of these down and get them pressed in on a 10A. I do have a lathe, and that's the only way you could just go ahead and make it work. Now this one has a really good bearing in it, so I'm not even gonna touch this rotor here. That's the original bearing. It's real clean. There's no need to go ahead and swap it out. So if you do have a set and there's no need to swap them out, just leave them alone and work with it. So if you guys take note here, over here on this side, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little pinhole, and these pinholes go all the way around. So if I turn it here, there's another little pinhole there. There's another little pinhole there. So there's little pinholes that go around here, and that's for the oil injection. And Mazda definitely was way ahead of its time. They were way ahead of their time, and for some reason they just decided not to do this on the 12A. No pinholes for oil injection in there. Nothing. 10A's got it, but not the 12A. So I guess they were still trying to figure it out, trying to experiment. But as you can see, this is a very worn out bearing. That's why I pressed it out. It's gonna make a new bearing. But I mean, you can see the difference on just adding those little pinholes for more oil flow in the bearing. Huge difference. They're both from the 70s, and they both have miles on them. It was very hard to get them cleaned up. They had a lot of carbon buildup, but you just see the difference when it comes to these little pinholes that they put on the 10A. It's pretty neat, pretty cool. Now we have the gear side. And gear side, yeah, they're the same. There's not much of a difference. 12A has this little bevel here. This one doesn't. This one has less rotor pins. This one's got 6. This one's got 9. And I'm sure you can make it work. I'm sure they're interchangeable. It's just the depth right here on the teeth are the same. They both have 51 teeth on them. I did count each and single one of those. But yeah, no, not much of a difference there. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the seals. And we're just gonna go ahead and start with the side seals. And the side seals, yeah, they're the same. These are the springs, and I could just go ahead and drop them here, and Obviously, they're dual side seals. They're both dual side seals. And this side seal, it's what the 12A came off the 12A. So it's going to obviously fit on the 12A rotor. So we're going to go ahead and check on the 10A. So next here we have the 10A. We're going to put the spring in there. Make sure the little ends are facing up. This is the 12A side seal. And yeah, they're interchangeable. You can go ahead and use side seals from an FB or SA 12A, and they fit right on there. You obviously have to shape them down or bring them down right here on the edge, but it seems to work. It's right on there. So next we're going to go ahead and move on to the corner seals, and all these seals here, yeah, they're from the 12A twin dizzy, so they obviously fit on the 12A, but this is the 6mm corner seal. It goes on the 12A. See that? It's right on there. Take this one out, and they come with the wire springs, so let's go ahead and drop them on the 10A, and it's gonna fit. So 12A and 10A, they are 6mm seals. So there we go. It's got some spring action going on there. I don't know if the camera's catching that, but yeah, these wire springs are obviously worn out, so they're gonna have to get replaced. So far 10A, 12A, when it comes to seals, definitely interchangeable. Side seals, corner seals, you guys seen. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the oil control rings. And they work as well. Now the interesting thing about the 10A, there's no dimples on here to keep the springs from spinning. These little tabs right here, for some reason the 10A didn't come with them, so I guess I must have figured that out with the 12A. But yeah, I just found it kind of interesting that there's no dimples in the grooves over here to keep them from spinning at all. So I guess that's something they added on the 12A. The 12A does have them, so it's right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but it's right here at the bottom. I don't know if you guys could see that. It's right there. See, this one's got the dimple there and the inner and outer oil control ring, but the 10A doesn't. But it does use these springs here. Just for some reason it just doesn't have them, so that's pretty interesting. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop these. We're not rebuilding them, so just want to show you guys right quick that yes, you could use the same oil control rings as the 12A twin dizzy or any other engine. These are pretty standard, I guess, on all the rotors. So Mazda kept all the side seals, corner seals, apex seals. Mazda kept them the same. So these I took these out from the 12A, and as you guys can see, they both have these little dimples here as as well. These little cutaways, but just to spray out the oil control rings. 10A has them, 12A also has them, but the later 12As and 13Bs, Mazda just stopped putting these little cutouts for the oil control rings. And I wish they would have kept these little cutouts, because it would definitely make the job a lot easier, especially when we have a lot of carbon buildup on the FBs or FC engines, or even the turbo ones. It makes it really hard to spray them out. And these little cutouts, believe me, they really do help big time. So that's just something else that I want to show you guys between these two. 6mm apex seals, and these are from the 12A apex springs. So throw them in here, 6mm, and the springs are still good. They have a lot of spring action on them. Just look at how high they sit. I already measured them, they're within spec. So next we're going to go to the 10A, and we're going to drop this in here. And obviously this is not for 10A, but it's from the 12A here. But I don't have any 10A apex seals. Really hard to find and come by. When we do find them, they're real expensive. But nevertheless, just, you know, I just want to show you guys that, yeah, it's a 6mm. And they're similar, so they're both 6mm apex seals. Next, compression ratio. 10A 9.4 to 1, 12A 9.4 to 1. Now the tubs obviously shaped differently from both. 12A is obviously a lot wider than the 10A, but they both have the same compression ratio. The tub does change, and I have some points set right here, and I just want to show you guys what the difference is between the two on their deepest point. So here we go. So this one marks me at 7.14. I'll go to this one. This is the deepest point. 7.39. So there's a huge difference on here. So I could see how both could be 9.4. This one obviously sits a lot deeper than this, and I have some other markings here that I want to just go ahead and just measure so you guys can see the difference. So if we set it here flush, it's 5.14. And if we set this one here flush, 5.71, and have another marking up here. And this one's 1.32. And this one's 1.16. So the 10A, the tub on the 10A is a lot deeper than the 12A. So it's making up for its size, obviously. So this was a lot wider, so it's not going to be that deep. It's going to be more shallow. So the 10A has to be more deep in order to get that same compression. So I don't know if any of you guys are builders out there or familiar with them, but the GSLSC, it's also a 9.4. There's some 12As from the FBs that are 9.4s. So in between those, there are some minor changes in compression ratios, but for some reason Mazda definitely stuck to the 9.4. So Mazda was on it very early on, as you guys could see. 9.4, 9.4. So as far as compression ratio, there you go. And you guys see the depth on these. This is a lot deeper than this one. So that's pretty interesting and cool, I think. So last but not least, torque power and horsepower. So R100 putting out 150 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPMs. Same as the 12A at 4,000 RPMs is putting out 115 foot-pounds of torque. Now, as far as horsepower goes, R110A. That's why the R100 is the R100. Rotary R100, because it's putting out 100 horsepower. That's where the R100 comes from. Rotary R100. RX2 12A twin dizzy. It's giving 130 horsepower. So there you go, guys. 10A, 12A. If you've never seen a 10A, well, there you go. 10A. Now you know what a 10A looks like. Not much of a difference between the 12A. It's just all in size. You can still use the same side seals, oil control seals. A few things interchangeable. You have to machine the bearings in order to fit, but overall, very similar. That's one thing I forgot to mention. If you look at the side seals here, there's a taper. It starts small and it tapers into a bigger size over here. 12A is very similar to that too. It starts small down here and tapers into a bigger size over here. So I forgot to mention that in the beginning, but there you go. Differences between 12A and 10A. Not much.